Yeah, stinking hair on my face. Buddy, I'm starting this like a minute after I normally do because I was driving and I'm like, okay, let's just check, to make sure mic's on, everything's working, and mic wasn't working. So what do? With electronics, when they're not working, you unplug them and plug them back in. If that doesn't work, do it again. If that doesn't work, try the different mic. Who knows with electronics, you know what I mean? But today is gonna be a fun day at school. But before I tell you about school, I got schooled in the game of life last night. So much of it is my own fault. So you know what I mean? Like, as much as I'm gonna, give myself a hard time, I'm like, dude, you did it to you. So, our kids sleep in little mini beds next to our bed. And it's fun and it's cool and it's awesome. It started out like Friday night movie nights, they could sleep in the room. Little Callaways on our bed. So, besides me, there's 4 humans in my room and a dog and little old sweet old Palmer and sweet old Callaway. I don't know if they're not feeling their best or what, but around midnight, Palmer decided to wake up and had a cough and decided for like 30 minutes to just say, I want to get up and have breakfast. Breakfast, Daddy, breakfast. And I'm like, dude, it's 12:15 at night. I am typically a pretty patient human when I've only been asleep for like an hour and a half, and then I'm woken up to a crying kid who then wakes up all the other humans in the room. I'm not as patient as I should be. So, you let him cry for a second, you're like, all right, bro, yeah, go back to sleep. You're gonna be okay. Here's some water, all right. I eventually just got up with him, gave him an apple, let him eat an apple because he wanted breakfast. He promised me he'd go back to sleep. Okay, dude, all right. Let's go back to sleep. Does he go back to sleep? Nope. He says, I want more breakfast. It was one of those nights, those character building nights that you just have to go back to all those stories in your life of like, I am glad my house is not on fire. I am glad that my fingers and toes and everything works fine and well. Glad my kids are healthy. Hopefully, Palmer's not getting sick or anything like that. All that to say, though, is one of those nights to where you wake up in the morning and you're like, I had anticipated waking up early, getting the workout in, doing all the good stuff. Not today. And that is okay. You know what I mean? Sometimes life just throws curveballs at you. And kind of like a quarterback, when he sees the defense do something the defense wasn't supposed to do, they call the audible, and you're like, all right, I'll save that play for later. We are gonna go back to sleep, everybody. Oh, man. But I'm not complaining. Had all my kids been sleeping in their rooms where they normally sleep, I guess he probably would have woke up all the kids and they would have come running into our room. All right, hey, you know what? I'm thankful I have kids. And maybe this is my therapy, like reminding myself. But no, I really am. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But hey, you don't get to say, yeah, I want to be a parent, but I don't want to have the late nights. I don't want to have the coughing kids that say they want breakfast at midnight. Hey, you don't get to play favorites. It's like, hey, you say yes to kids, you open your heart up. Somebody told me that life before kids is like a 1 out of 10, like certain days are ones, the best days are 10s, and then when you have kids, that scale adjusts to -10 but goes up to 20. So like when you have kids, the best day is twice as good as any day before kids. But there are some things that kids do and things that happen to kids that don't just give you a 0 of a day, they give you a -10 of a day. It's real, but I like getting real, if you know what I mean. Day 40 for kids, 42 for me. Aviation is collabing with us today, which is awesome. Anytime my kids have the opportunity to collab with another program, I hit the yes button, and I am always just so pumped to see these kids show up and teach another group of kids how to do what we do. And I am very honest with myself in knowing that it is so much more fun to hang out with other kids and get to know other kids in our awesome little town than it is to hear your teacher, aka me, talk to you about anything. So, it's going to be a good day at school, and I'm going to make sure it's a good day at school, even if aviation wasn't here. It's a Wednesday. I have been reminded very often recently on how we should look outward rather than inward most of the time. We talked about screen time and shared screen times yesterday in class. And will you believe that there's a kid in my class who has over 20 hours of screen time? I guess they fall asleep on FaceTime because they can't be married yet and sleep with their person. They have to, hey, bring it on. I'm all for it. But over 20 hours of screen time, I don't know. I bet the average is close to 6 or 7, which is wild. But it's real, and I don't know about you. I've never really felt better about myself after hopping online. Maybe you do. I'm not here to judge you. But to me, all the best relationships I've had have been in person and have been doing things. And it is crazy entertaining to sit on your phone and flip through some stuff. It is a great way to just mentally unload, but I just don't know how much unloading is done mentally. I don't think our brains are actually truly relaxing. And so I think what it is like this overstimulation of, at any time of the day, you could get the dopamine hits of scrolling through videos, which some of my kids are like, my grandma does that all day long. Okay, that's fine. Your grandma can do whatever. Hey, you can do whatever. But where I'm going is, if I just sit around on my phone, I have not typically made the world a better place. Do I have to make the world a better place every day? I should. Do I all the time? Gosh, no. But if I'm just sitting around thinking about me, I'll tell you something that does happen. Slowing down on a freeway. When I focus on other people and other people's needs, and there's something in my passenger seat for a dear student of mine, and I am pumped to give it to him. I made a bunch of shirts for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm like, I know there's teachers on our campus that have had that, and if I spend my break making shirts for people who've survived breast cancer, I'm gonna have so much more fun than I am just sitting around thinking about my teaching day, my grading, my lessons. I'm like, hey, serve one another. And if you don't know where to serve, let me know. I can point you in the right directions. But when I am focusing on other people's needs, I tend to think less about all the little mini problems that Kyle Kuhlman has, and makes me happier. So I think you should make you happy and focus on other people's needs. OPN. Anyway, hey, turning to school. Make it a great Wednesday. 140 days left of school. No big deal. Hang in there. 40 days down. Happy Wednesday.